Welcome to the last RX of 25-26 meeting. Thanks for everyone who's here and everyone who's online. Today, we're going to go over a couple of things, and then we're going to have our PharmD student panel join us. And they're going to take your questions. Also, I'd like them to kind of tell us a little bit about how they found their way to pharmacy. What maybe their career interest in pharmacy might be, where they think they may be focusing their efforts. And if you don't have one, that's okay. And there was one other thing. Oh, something you wished you'd known before you came into the program. Okay, so I'll give them a minute to think about those questions. I will send out the next lineup of meetings probably closer to August, when it's back on your mind and I have seen where all the other meetings are going to end up. But chances are we're going to stick to this same Wednesday, the second Wednesday of the month, from 12 to 12:45, or for Alaska students, that would be 10 to 10:45. For those that are planning to come in fall 27, be sure that you make an appointment with me for early July, mid-July, so that we can go over the application. So before you leave, if you could just go to my schedule me link that's at the bottom of my email signature, just grab that and make an appointment, set it for July sometime. That way you won't forget and I won't forget to remind you. Yeah. For those, one more item, for those who are coming into fall 26 for PharmD, don't sweat registration right now. Oops, we got a double. The P1 website will come out either late this month or early next month. So don't sweat it. Your classes will not fill up without you. So it'll be odd for you to not feel like I've got to get registered right now. And you might be getting emails from the advising office saying you aren't registered yet. Please register. Just ignore all that. Because you're going to be registered on your own time frame. We do it a little differently in College of Pharmacy. So for those of you who are not on this campus, just watch for that email to come from Rhonda. It'll come to your ISU email. Correct, Rhonda? Okay, so be watching your ISU email. Okay, that's all I have. So PharmD panel, if you'll join us up here in the front, I'll adjust the camera so that they can see you. And I've encouraged you all to come with your questions. So our ROAR-Xers, if you'll take a minute, jot down a few questions so that we can be sure that we have things to talk about. I'm just here. If there's not room, we can squeeze in another chair, I believe. On that little thing? Oh, we got perfect. We got plenty of room. All right, yeah.
He wants to just move all of these over there together, maybe?
Well, I kind of
Just move all of them.
Well, you can, but the camera's independent,
Oh, okay.
right? I'm not gonna pull it out, so it's not just doesn't have one person only.
Here we go.
And I know what the problem is. Lesson before. All right. Oh,
We got it?
I think we got it. I'm gonna go in here. It may be hard to hear. So those of you online, if you can't hear a question, please let us know. And for those of you answering questions or providing stuff, shout out a little bit. All right, we're ready to go. Who wants to start?
That's right.
Okay, we'll go around.
So,
Can you tell us your name?
yes.
Even just first.
Okay. So I'm Jason. I'm a P3, so third year student on this campus. And my journey to finding pharmacy, while I was an undergrad, I attended like pre-health profession meetings. I really did not like the pre-med, pre-dental kind of atmosphere. And the pre-pharmacy society where I went was rather small. And so, but the people part of it were really great. and then I resonated well with the concept of what pharmacy consists of, and so I pursued getting my prerequisites, got my bachelor's degree, and applied and got in. It's been great. It's been a really incredible experience, and pharmacy is wide, and so currently I work in a community pharmacy, but my goal is to go like industry. So it's not your typical pharmacy setting. So that's kind of where I set my sights to, and that's how I've shaped my experiences, things I've done throughout pharmacy school. So that's me.
It's one thing that you wished you'd known.
Oh, that's right. I kind of just went in with an open mind. So I guess I was kind of caught off by the demand of the schedule, where it's not like undergrad where you take an hour or two a day for classes. You're in class from 10 to 5, and then you're studying. And so I wish I knew kind of more what the demand was, so I could have prepared myself during undergrad just a little better.
Hello, my name's Chloe. I am also a third-year pharmacy student on this campus. What led me to pharmacy is during my senior year in high school, we do what is called like senior projects. So I took that opportunity to go and actually job shadow a pharmacist. And I loved it and everything, and because I knew I'd always wanted to be in the healthcare field, but I was not wanting to like be super hands-on with the patient. And then so that's when my mom introduced me of like, hey, that's actually like a healthcare professional behind the counter at, at Walmart or whatever, and hey, giving you meds. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So that's what led me to that and introduced me to it, and I've loved it ever since. My future with pharmacy, I still want to work with the public. I like the idea of what they call transitions of care, like when you're in the hospital and you're getting discharged, like there can be a pharmacist at that point, and I really like that spot because then I still get to work with the community, and I really like being with the public. So I'm also a dual degree student doing a master's in public health. So something I wish I would have known entering into pharmacy school, I'd say is the same. It's like the demand of it, especially like in undergrad, like homework took like maybe an hour, and like I could understand concepts just from doing lecture and everything. But now in pharmacy school, you get a lot of information thrown at you, and it's like figuring out how do you break that down to where you can understand it and be able to retain that information into the future, because it just keeps adding, and everything builds on top of everything. So building a strong foundation is important.
Thanks. My name's Abby. I'm also a third year student. What got me into pharmacy, I have a weird whole story. I'm going to be really brief about it. My childhood soccer coach was a pharmacist. That kind of just introduced me to the idea. I had no idea what it was. Then I wanted to be a teacher, but my mom actually signed me up for RX. And I got into pharmacy, and then I was like, well, let's just see what the applications process it's like, and then now I'm here, and I'm really grateful I had my mom sign me up for RX. But I think it's awesome. What I wish I knew is ISU, you have to dress business casual, and I know that's not a big deal to a lot of people. That is not my style. So that was a really big change for me. And then another thing that I wish I knew was just the load right off the bat. So as soon as you're accepted, they give you stuff to do over the summer. They give you stuff basically as soon as you start, you're busy. So
my name is Tegan. I kind of just picked something out of a hat as far as pharmacy goes in high school. Then I got a job in a pharmacy after I graduated high school, and was like, I'm just gonna pursue pharmacy until I find something I like better. And I never found anything I liked better. So now I'm in pharmacy school. Then one thing that I wish that I had known before we started was how much like independent like studying and learning that you have to do, because it is kind of a lot of information given to you just at once, and you really have to do all of the work to make sure that you know it on your own. And then kind of on a happier note, I wish I had also known that how much fun pharmacy school can be. You make some really good friends. You'll have a blast.
My name is Maddie. I am also a B3 student. What got me into pharmacy school is I had a deep love for chemistry and I wanted to know how drugs worked. And obviously pharmacy is how drugs work. And then I also got a job in a pharmacy and hated it. And then I got a job in another pharmacy and loved it. So your workplace does matter. But yeah, the profession gets to work with the public and learn how drugs work, and it's the perfect niche for me, and I love it. What I wish I knew before coming to pharmacy school was you will have a lot of extra stuff on your plate. They talk about the load and the class load, and that's true, but we are also have other things we have to do. We have to go to pharmacy fairs, there's conferences we attend. We have hours that we have to make of volunteer hours. There's just so much to do. But I will also pair what Tegan said is it's so much fun because every class you take is about stuff you're interested in, hopefully.
Thanks.
I'm Warren. My journey is a little weird because I am non-traditional, even as far as pharmacy students go. I had a whole career in corporate leadership and decided I wanted a life. So I went back to school again. So I had a biochemistry degree to my finance degree. I came to pharmacy school when this news came here.
I did, actually. And I'm going back to Utah State next week.
There you go. I actually also want to go industry, which is really weird. It's pretty uncommon in the school. I'm also a P1, by the way. P1 here. I'm really trying to live life without expectations, but I find it makes you happier. But I did not expect how scheduling intensive the point it is, just how much you need to know. Like, for instance, 2 weeks ago, it's completely non-related to class, really. Like, I don't have to know it for a test, but 2 weeks ago, they just came out with a new guidelines for dyslipidemia. I kind of need to know that. Stats are still first line, it doesn't matter. But anyway, things have changed and things always change. So you kind of have to stay up on everything, even things that aren't directly related to your class.
Okay. Well, questions that you have for our panel, and it can be anything. Okay, here's the first one. What is your P1 year typical week in course content? I'm starting in fall and only hear from interns I work with about how there's a test every week.
In some schools, that's true. So I'm in P1, so I'll answer that first. I really found the P1 year to be relaxing. And I say that because, yes, there's a ton of information that's thrown at you, but it's all basic information. So if you were paying attention in your undergrad, you're really trying to learn physiology, you're really trying to understand the anatomy, you're really paying attention to your chemistry courses, you're going to smoke it. It's going to seem like a lot, 'cause it's like 21 credit hours, but you'll do really well if you come in with a strong base. The other side of that, though, is if you don't have a strong base, you're going to be working your ass off.
Yes.
I will parrot that. It really does depend on the person. First thing you need to know, as Jason mentioned, you will be in class from 10 to 5 and with an hour lunch break. But you will be in class from 10 to 5. And it depends on where you're coming from. I got my bachelor's, and when I came into P1 year, a lot of it was review for my bachelor's, and also there wasn't homework. So that first semester I was bored because I didn't have busy work like I had in my undergrad. And then P1 year, you will have, I don't know if we had a test every week, but you will have multiple tests. There was 1 week we had a test every day except Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then P2 onward, you pretty much have a test.
I thought P1 year was really hard. That's because it didn't come into with a super strong base. And also it was just such an adjustment from like the regularly scheduled college classes that I was used to. So I thought it was the most difficult, but once you kind of get past that, once you get into like second semester, kind of like you go through that adjustment, then it gets a lot easier and a lot more fun once you move past like the basics and you start learning about like the body systems and the drugs. I found that really interesting. So it can be tough, but you can do it.
I also agree with Tegan. It was really hard for me. It was adjustment because there was just so much more information than I was ever used to. And my undergrad physiology, that's really the hardest class, in my opinion. That was the hardest class was physiology. I did not learn an ounce of physiology in my undergrad. So I had to learn everything at that point. And that was hard. I also, people are going to tell you this all the time to find a study group. I didn't have a study group, and that was hard. As soon as I found my friends, it got like 10 times easier. So even though you probably don't have a study group and didn't need a study group in your undergrad, I recommend trying to find your friends fast.
I agree. I didn't come into pharmacy school with a bachelor's, and so I just completed the prereqs and then entered. So I still really like the first semester of pharmacy school because it brought everybody up to speed and up to the same level. But once finding a study group is huge. Like, it doesn't matter how small or how big it is. Our study group's 5. We're missing one of ours, but it's super important.
I would say what to expect day to day is every semester you're given like a schedule of what to expect. You've got like I can't remember the names of the courses, but it will go from like 10 to 11, and then you'll have healthcare from 11 to 12, and then you'll have physiology in the afternoon, and it changes from day to day. And then Wednesday you're only in class till 1, and you have the rest of the day off. And then on Fridays you have like Dean's Hour. And this is like specific to the first semester. And that Dean's Hour is kind of like an opportunity for them to be like, all right, here's some good test taking skills. Here's how you should try to manage your time for the best results and those kind of things. And then you get into your second hour or second semester, and Fridays become more of your test day, and you don't have classes. You may still have class on Friday
In the morning.
in the morning.
Keep it going.
Like,
You get more free time as you go.
yeah.
Yep.
Like currently as a P3, we have like class or seminar in the morning and afternoon. Like, we didn't have class today. That's why we're all dressed a little extra casual. Plus it's Bangle Wednesday. So
And that's how they could be here today.
and so as far as the schedule goes, I would recommend being proactive on knowing your class schedule and what lecture you're going to get that day, because that helps in preparing your mindset for what you're going to be learning. And
The other switch you'll have is you will be in your same classroom all day. The professors will come to you. So that is really nice. You get to have your own little home.
It's good and bad. I mean, you're sitting down basically all day. So you'll get released to walking around the pharmacy building most likely. But it is nice to just have your home and you know what desk is yours.
We don't have assigned seating.
There's not a sense. You can.
unofficial.
But somebody takes my spot. So there might be.
All right, awesome. So those are excellent things. I tell students this all the time as pre-pharmacies, and I don't think they always believe me. So that's why I have you here. So the second part of Braden's question was, what would you suggest doing this summer to prepare and get that base if you're not sure if you're really solid, like in anatomy and physiology or those other classes? Biochem.
I would say do a basic review. Go over what you have learned in your prerequisites if you feel shaky about it. But also understand that if you're willing to put forth the work, you have plenty of opportunity to get that base in that first semester, because that first semester is a review of your prerequisites to help you establish an even firmer base.
So I graduated with my bachelor's in July and started pharmacy school, September or August? August. So I had like a month, 2 weeks or 6 weeks to prepare, and I was tired from my bachelor's. So I kind of just took a break, rested, and then hit the ground running instead of like cramming a bunch of stuff that I may or may not know will be taught to us. So I think if you just anticipate going back to OChem, anticipate going back to biochemistry, physiology, your calculations come your second semester, your spring semester that first year, and that's like 8th grade math, it's algebra, it's not.
Ratios.
You ask.
Yes.
It really depends. Some people are really great at math and they just struggle with it, and some people. What I would say is, guys, it's your last summer. When you enter pharmacy school, here's another thing I wish I knew. Summers, we do rotations. So, and you will have so much to do in that summer. You will have two courses you have to complete because you have to do your vocabulary stuff and also your vaccine stuff. So I wouldn't worry about teaching yourself the stuff you think you might need to know. Worry about, have a little bit of fun this summer, worry about the 2 classes you will be assigned. And then if you are very, very, very shaky, it's okay to review, but don't stress out too much about that.
I think if I was gonna review, especially today, I would leverage AI. I'd use probably Gemini and give it a prompt, like, hey, I'm gonna be a Q1, I wanna review these subjects. It's gonna give you some pretty good questions, because I use it actively in studying, and it's pretty solid.
Do you think that doing some YouTube videos on physiology
Yeah, of
might be
course.
helpful too?
There's lots of good authors.
I love YouTube. That's what got me through my P1 year is, I don't know if it's Ninja Nerd or Nerd Ninja, that guy is awesome. And some crash courses. So
Okay.
I don't think you should do that in the summer, though. I agree with Maddie.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily your last summer because the rotations are 4 weeks, 3 weeks. And then you get the rest of your summer off. But it's just stress that you have anticipated. So I would definitely, I don't think it's necessary to study over the summer to prepare you for P1 year because you will have time to learn it. It's just you'll be busy.
Okay. Well, we got a couple of questions out here and then we haven't got to our in-house people yet. So, for those who work in a pharmacy while going to school, how supportive are the pharmacists when it comes to giving time off for tests? Like that.
I think that definitely depends where you work. I work at our local Albertsons and my boss is so supportive. She is always saying school comes first. She'll take my class schedule and be like, what days can you work? Is this too many hours? She's always checking in with me about how I'm doing school wise. So depends on where you work, but my experience has been very good. And I also have found that working in conjunction with school has been so helpful because I get to see some of the like topics that we've reviewed and the drugs that we've learned like in practice, like right after we've learned them. And that's been really helpful in like reinforcing what I'm learning and helping me to remember it.
Yeah, I will say the same. Smith has been more than like most of the pharmacists that work with pharmacy students. They know the schedule. They'll let you get the time that you need.
Alright. Sorry. Are you any of you incoming P1s?
How many are incoming P1s online? So 2 in the classroom. Braden is.
Like this is my first year, I didn't work. But I did get a job at the end of my first year and it really helped because going into the second year, you're heavy on drug, or like not you're heavy, you're not doing drugs. You're being taught drugs and pharmacotherapy, you know, like it's intense. And having worked in a community pharmacy exposed me to like the drug names, so that wasn't so new to me. And as an intern, sometimes you're more just like an overpaid technician, and so you don't get to do a lot of like the pharmacy stuff, like or pharmacist stuff, but you still get exposure to drugs, and there's like things that you get to see, dealing with patients, practicing counseling, those kind of things that you get exposure to. And if you're not working in a pharmacy now, I would gauge your P1 year and maybe take that first semester, not work, and get a job maybe a little later down the line, just so you can prioritize figuring out how to do school before you're juggling school and work.
I'll chime in. I used to work at Walgreens, so just because I'm moving for my last year, it's like, man, stop that for now. Anyways, I will say when you do have it, if you decide to have a job during like pharmacy school, do learn how to say no. With my job, there was always a lot of messages of like, hey, can you pick up a shift? There was one week I ended up being scheduled 4 days out of the week, and that was not gonna fly with my pharmacy schedule. So I had to reach out to her and be like, I can do it this time, but like, no more. So like, knowing what your boundaries are and set those and to not always exceed those.
From a non-community perspective, because I work both nuclear pharmacy and a long-term care facility. They're exceptionally good. Amazing. Like even if it's late, let's say this week I have a Friday test, which I do. I haven't called in yet to say when I'm working Friday. They know I have a test, but whether I go or not, it's completely on me. And even Wednesday, I can make that decision, be like, I'm not gonna be able to go on Friday, and it's completely kosher.
I do want to say, I know this wasn't the question, but I do think it is beneficial to work in pharmacy before. I didn't. And I will, during the P1 year, there's only one class of pharmacology, pharmacotherapy. And that was really difficult for me. And it wasn't for most of my, I think the rest of my
Oh,
class.
that was it's a tough class, I'm in it
Okay.
right now.
It was really hard. I didn't know how to say any of the names. Like, I just think even if you're not going into pharmacy now and you don't work in pharmacy while you're in school, I think just seeing what a pharmacy is like would be beneficial, because another thing I was learning my first year was pharmacy is a whole new language. They talk about things I had no idea what anything about insurance, and they're like, oh yeah, that's prior auth. All my friends are like talking about this thing and I have no idea what they're talking about. So I would say that something that maybe could help you if you're not quite in pharmacy yet and you're just curious, you can go shadow any pharmacy. I'm sure they'd let you come. Also, I'm pretty sure every pharmacy is always hiring, so you can try to go find a job if you would like. I made it very clear when I do have a job in pharmacy now. I made it very clear. I was like, I only want to work 1 to 2 days a week, and they are great at following that. But I think you need to be very clear up front.
Yeah, so how many of you are pharmacy techs right now? Number of us, and there's a number of us too. And that's something we talk about, but yeah, gauging the amount of hours versus studying, that's really hard. And if you have bills to pay, that's even harder to say no when you feel like you need to work. So that's always going to be a struggle, I think. What habits or routines, speaking of segue, what habits or routines outside of class have helped you stay successful in school?
I run, and it makes me a happier person, and it helps clear my mind. This is embarrassing to admit, but my sleep schedule is really awful. And my P2 year, I made like a conscious effort to like fix it and like get more regularly, like go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time. And I saw a really big improvement like in my ability to like learn and remember stuff. And I haven't been able to like be super consistent with it, but I can definitely tell that when I'm like getting more sleep and sleeping regularly and prioritizing that, I do better in school. So unfortunately true.
I would say for me, if I'm outside of school, I want to be not thinking about school, because we're in school a lot. So I usually, what I do is I come around 8, usually it's a little later. And from 8 to 10, I'll study in the morning before class. And then after class, it's my time. And I think taking time for yourself is important. Like both of these guys said, I think it's important. Some people might not need that, but
I agree. Finding that time for self-care is super important. That's what I do. Is I personally like to read, so that I do not do homework in my bed. That is where I read and sleep. So separating homework from where I like to be. So like trying to do homework here is really important for me.
Like Tegan was saying, her second year, she had to restructure her sleep schedule. I had to do the same because where I just come out of my bachelor's, taking physiology and biochemistry. That first year was kind of easier for me. And so I didn't take it as seriously. But when I hit P2 year, when you do module learning, it was rough. Like it hits different. And so I had to like start taking melatonin to go to bed at 10. So I could wake up at 6, be on campus at 8, or go to work out, go be on campus at 8. But then I realized, I'm doing a lot of the prep I can do in the morning, and I balanced this. So I have my evening. And so at like 6 o'clock, I eat dinner and then I'm done for the night. Unless there's like a really big test and I'm super stressed and I'm cramming for it. But I'm usually done by like 6 o'clock at meeting, and then I can just have downtime. And then, I would find your balance so that you have a weekend, you have your weekend, enjoy your Sundays. My job makes me work every Saturday. So it's kind of like, I don't get a Saturday, but I give myself Sunday. Just give yourself your day and balance your schedule so you're not suffering, or your grades aren't suffering, but your mental health is.
Warren, your thoughts? You haven't heard from you yet.
I try not to do anything on the weekends. I do work now on the weekends for part of the day Saturday, but other than that, I don't really do anything. Try to get everything done during the week. There's all your tests are kind of structured in the way they're towards the end of the week. So you have time to study, and you honestly should be studying every day. For instance, they were talking about pharmacotherapy. The class is awful. The reason it's awful is because it's 300 drugs with knowing all the classes and all the mechanisms. And you don't need to know it in like a month. You need to know it in a week. You're gonna have 9, 10 hours of class across a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then there's a test. Like the day after you got the last bit of materials, you have to study it along the way. So you have to, if you went from cramming, you have to stop that habit. You have to study along the way. And that allows me to have my weekends.
Just out of the camera being, that's okay, okay, better.
I moved. It's on.
Oh, there we go, you're perfect, don't move now. All right,
Nice.
all right, so let's see, how much of your summer is for rotations hours wise, and how fast you typically accomplish those hours? So I did put in the chat for those of you online and those of you in person, I gave you the trifold. This talks about all the experiential learning side of the PharmD program. So 120 hours between P1 and P2, 10 hours of patient care service hours. So that's within the 120?
No, so.
No, that's extra.
That's extra.
Okay.
P1, P2, P3 year, during the school year, you have to get 10 hours of volunteer experience each year. Between P1 and P2 year, there will be a 3-week rotation. It's called your community IPI. It is 3 weeks.
And the school schedules that for you.
Schedules
You
it,
don't have to do it yourself.
but 3 weeks, you will work a full-time job. Between P2 and P3, you will do your institutional IPI, which is in hospital or long-term care facility. That is also 3 weeks. School schedules it. You will be an unpaid full-time job for 3 weeks. And then either between P2 and P3 or during P3, you will have what's called your elective rotation. That is 40 hours. If you do it during the summer, it will be 2 weeks, or sorry, a week. If you do it during the school year, you just have to get that 40 hours done.
40 hours you can schedule
Sometimes.
yourself. So I did not do I did 40 hours, all 40 of mine in 1 week because I wanted to be done. I know not everybody.
And I did my 40 hours over 2 months because I was also in school during that time, so I would have to do them during after school or days we didn't have school. And then as soon as P3 is done, you have a week off, and then you start your PAPIs, which is there are 8 blocks. Each block is 6 weeks, and you will do
A bunch of rotations.
a bunch of rotations.
Right.
Full
Calendar
calendar
year.
year. Yeah.
So really your last summer is after P2 year. This
And-
is not your last step if you're going to pharmacy school.
For you guys, I would not stress this one bit. It's really not that difficult. You figure it out when it comes. And also depends on your location, like during the summers. Like my first rotation was with Walgreens, and it went over the 4th of July, and they told me, don't come in. Don't worry about it. We'll
And
give
the
you the
school
hours.
does school schedules.
And so some preceptors are more like, don't come in, but we'll do a makeup day, or we'll have you do a project to make up the hours. They're very flexible. Don't stress it. You'll get it.
Where do you live?
Twin Falls. So her question is that if you don't live in Pocatello during the summer, where would you do your rotations? And that kind of depends. They will work with you to try to see if they can find you an opportunity in Twin Falls to do. We do have some preceptors in that area. Sometimes you do kind of have to go though, and it's only 120 hours, so you may have to just find a location to stay for 120 hours and then come back home.
You get to put your preferences in, so you can tell the school, I want to be here. But,
Most of the time there.
and most of the time they're pretty good. Most of the time,
Location wise,
Yeah, well, and
like
like,
Pocatello,
but that's that they will
there's a
tell
lot
you
of
where to
meetings.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
if you
find.
didn't want to go to Walgreens and they assigned you to Walgreens, that's an option. But at least you're Pocatello for.
But I know for sure before year, you can go to Twin Falls, because I've been to Twin Falls. And where it says that
I
there,
think there is Indies.
If you- I'm not 100% positive, I don't know anyone.
I think they
Mark,
could make,
They can make
they
one
could
though.
make it work for you. They could ask a preceptor to take a first year student. They're very good at working with you. You just have to be proactive and letting them know. Because if they don't know until the end, that's your fault.
So one of the problems we had with the fall 26 incoming students, part of Warren's group, was that we had a lot of students choose Pocatello campus. And not as many choose Meridian. Well, Meridian has a lot more options for experiential learning versus Pocatello. So some of our Pocatello students this time around are probably having to go other places just because we don't have the capacity. But looking at our next group coming in, fall 27, it's a little more evened out. But like they said, Joy and whoever else is doing experiential will work with you. You just gotta let them know ahead of time. And we talk about IPPs and APPs. I just actually learned what that means. So IPPy is I have to read. It was just here. Introductory pharmacy practice experiences, and then APPy is advanced pharmacy practice experience. And so APPys are 4th year, right? IPPys are everything before that. Okay, so if you're confused by the acronyms.
Oh, guys, get used to alphabet soup. There's so many acronyms, and I remember P1 year being like, I don't know what anybody's saying. I don't know what PBDL is or PBDL. So many acronyms.
Yeah.
But
And don't be afraid to ask, right? Just say, remind me what that means. If you don't want to actually say, I don't know what that is, remind me what that means, and they'll tell you. So, but we just get talking fast and we forget that not everybody knows what that means. Any other questions here from the room? We've had a lot of good questions online. Yeah, Keenan.
What study strategies work well for you in pharmacy school that you did that you had to change or adjust?
So what studying practices do you find work best in pharmacy? Maybe stuff you didn't have to use in undergrad, but you found work well for pharmacy school.
I'll start. In undergrad, I was more of a pen and paper kind of note taker. I'd go to my lecture, jot my notes down, and I didn't really revisit those, but writing it was enough for me to retain the information and test myself. And going into pharmacy school, I had an iPad in undergrad, but I never used it. And now I'm using it. And so I like started using OneNote and I'd upload the lecture slides because they give you those. And then I would jot my notes on the lecture slides. So I had my information and the professor's information. And then when I go and study and review, I just kind of like go through those. And I know other people like prefer like Quizlet or study cards. Guys,
I also had to do that transition to an iPad just because the professors will provide their slide decks to you, so you just download it. And then you can just write on there, like you can follow along that way. I have found like when I am lost during a lecture, afterwards I'll turn to my study group and be like, can we please go through this like slide by slide? And then usually once we're done doing that, I actually understand what the professor was talking about then. I'm like, and stuff starts to click, and then I'll be able to go study on my own.
I actually don't like the iPad. I do use it, but that's only because I've forgotten how to do pen and paper because they go so fast. So if you don't want to start an iPad, you're not going to be crazy behind. I know Maddie does. She'll talk about that. I have a lot of different ways I study. One, I look through past people on the dean's list on ISU's campus, and I will search their Quizlets and I will use theirs. I will make my own study guide because they'll usually give you like, I'll fill out my own study guide and then I'll put that in chat and say quiz me. And then I also have to rewatch lectures a lot. Most of the time I will rewatch every lecture and take notes using a pen and paper because I don't like the iPad thing, but I'm too slow during class. During undergrad, I didn't have to do any of that. I would do the homework and that was enough. There's no homework in pharmacy school, so that's not going to be enough. So I kind of just had to figure out how to study really. And that's what I found works for me, but it's very personal.
My first year, I did like handwritten notes and like notes on my laptop. I could tell that was not really working, so I did go buy myself like a really cheap like recycled or reused tablet or whatever to like take notes directly on like the slide decks, and that I've been doing that ever since. It's much more helpful. And then I also do like handwritten flashcards, digital flashcards. I don't think are as good when you make them yourself. I feel like that's a lot better. And then having a study group is probably like the best study tool that I have had. So I can just go to them and be like, what is this? Help, I don't know what's going on. So that's been really great. And then I utilize whiteboards a lot. I'll just like knowledge down everything I can remember onto the whiteboard and then review it, erase it, and do it again, and just kind of practice that way to repetition it into my brain.
I still take handwritten notes, but I am also one of the oldest people in my class, and so they tease me about it versus I think I'm the only one in the class who takes handwritten notes. Study group, being able to teach it to someone and have them teach it to yourself. Whiteboards, you will see down the stairs, those big whiteboards, they get used a lot because it's very helpful for info recall just to write it down on the whiteboard. But yeah, I would definitely say having a study group that I can teach it to and they can teach it to me and we can swap ideas and we find ways to help us remember it. But it is going to be so personalized to what works best for you, and what works best for you might not work best for everyone.
So I was a really poor student in undergrad. I didn't study. The closest I can get to that is using OneNote, having the slides and making notes on the slides. It's close I can get. So I got to kind of figure out what study methods work for me in pharmacy school because I definitely needed them. I kind of used an amalgamation of a lot of them. I have a solid study group that I see every single day. I use the whiteboards. In fact, I think the best way to remember cascades is to literally stand up in front of a blank whiteboard and have to draw it out. Because at the end of it, doing that a couple times, you will 100% know the information. Honestly, I use just a little bit of all of that, like everything everybody's mentioned.
Play around with
Yeah,
it.
100%.
And don't be afraid to be like, this isn't working, I'm gonna try something new.
and sorry, that applies to your study group.
Yeah, I was
When
gonna say that.
our first year, I remember there was like a time where like the whole class met together and we studied and it was just not working. And over time, like we're humans, drama happens, groups split, divide, and like our class has like what, 4 really established groups, but they're not cliques. We're still all friends. We all get along, but when it comes to studying, we just kind of know what works for us. And so we go to our groups that we are used to. I know the P2s, there's no one here to represent them, but they're more fluid. They'll like jump between groups. And I'm sure the P1s are.
That's what I was gonna say. P1s are a little different because we have like set groups, like I have like 3 or 4 people in my group, but we very much flow between different groups. Sometimes we combine, sometimes one person's in a different group. No one's ever upset about it. It's just whatever you need to be successful.
And like, well, I'll talk to these guys, like we're in different groups, but I'll talk to them all the time. I'll
And
ask
if we
them
have
questions.
questions, we go to the different group.
Yeah, like we do communicate, but we know what works for us. And because that first year we did trial and error and we discovered who we work best with. And that's what I recommend doing. I wouldn't get too attached on someone if you know they're not being productive for your, study.
We're running a little late. Anybody have any other questions in the room?
Can I interject something? real
Yeah.
quick? So you've talked a lot about iPads, but you also still need laptops, right?
Yes,
For
you
tests.
need a laptop, iPads won't cut it.
And not a Chromebook.
So I use a Surface tablet in class, but I have a computer at home. I don't have a laptop.
Does your Surface work with the exams?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a full
I
computer
think
though. It's a Surface tablet. It is a full computer inside of the tablet, not the tablet program.
I think we were told Chromebooks.
Yeah,
That correct?
that's right.
So-
So if you have questions about, and you're gonna get a new laptop or whatever, you wanna know whether your laptop is sufficient. Because there are exams you have to take
Yeah.
on your laptop or your computer and it has to have certain criteria. Let me know. I can connect you with Jeff, our IT guy.
It's on the P1 webpage.
Oh, it is on the P1 webpage
I'll-
also.
I'll-
I think most computers work, just can't be like an iPad.
Right,
Or-
there's some that are a little more helpful than others too, so he's got some guidelines, but again, that'll be on the P1 website, so just watch for that. Other questions before we wrap it up? There's something else I was thinking about. Oh, how do you leave a group gracefully? Or enter another group gracefully? We're talking about study groups. I mean,
I had
sometimes
to ask to be
personalities
in one.
get involved.
Yeah, I didn't have to leave one because I didn't have one, but I felt really awkward. I was like, can I study with you guys? And I think your class most people are nice, so they're gonna say yes. And then if they don't like you, then they'll just stop texting you and inviting you things, and that's usually kind of just what happens, and then you join a different group, I think.
Right.
And I think
and
just don't try to get your feelings hurt because
Right, because you just might not
Everything
study
is-
the way they
yeah.
do. Right? And I think that's really important because you become kind of a family, and sometimes that family can be a little dysfunctional and sometimes it's super functional. But, when you get your feelings hurt easily, it can be harder to be part of that family. And so just kind of rolling through it, not getting your feelings hurt, just go, okay, well, I'm find a different group, move on, right?
And there will be, well, I guess I don't know this. There's been drama in our class for sure. And we just kind of have to get through it. So if there's drama,
You could just tell them, I've told my study group, I need some time to study away from you guys, and you didn't have an issue with it, right? So we're
He's not here on camera. Well, and I think that's something to keep in mind when you come to the PharmD program, you are kind of with your class all day long, 5 days a week. And that is very different from undergrad where you're popping into this class and that class and you have different groups of people in every class. This will be different. So kind of having that anticipation that, I'm not going to take things personally. I'm going to try to get along with everybody, but not everybody's going to like me. I'm not going to like everybody, and that's going to be okay. Right.
I will say, like, you do get really close to your class. We are, as a class, there's 16 of us on the hotel campus, and we have become very, very close.
Now, do you get to know the people in Meridian and Alaska?
Not as
No.
much.
Not as much. You can see them.
You can see them, and like,
even if we try to talk to them, most of the time they mute us.
Yeah.
The other
Like
thing I
very
wish I
tough.
knew before pharmacy school.
Oh,
Pocatello has hot mics, which means that during our 10-minute breaks,
They-
the other
Yeah.
offices can still hear us.
But you know what?
It's also
Uh,
recorded.
Don't-
Careful what you say. Not that I've offended them. Definitely have.
I think I've stopped Carrie.
Yeah,
I have as well.
If they can hear my conversation,
and
then
we up to the Alaska kids at conferences and they'll be like, hey, this one time you said this, and we wanted to talk to you about it.
it's fun.
Yeah, it's totally
Oh.
fine. But
It was an adjustment because before Leonard Hall's open, we were on campuses where we didn't have live mics. And we got used to saying things that we, probably wanted to
I'm
keep
glad it
between us.
wasn't.
And, but now we say those things in the hallways.
You know what? It's good practice.
Yes.
Because when you're in a professional setting, you have to remember that everything you say could be overheard by another person, and so you kind of check yourself when you're about to say something like, is this okay? And that's just a good habit to get into. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up then. Thank you so much for my panel. You are awesome. And thanks so much for all of you who came today and all of you who've been coming over the course of this year. And thanks for all those who joined us online. We will start back up in probably September. I never do anything in August because August is just a hard month. So we'll start back up in August or September. For those of you joining P1, I'll see you on the other side. And anytime you want to jump into Borough RX meeting, feel free. All right. Well, thanks so much. Have a great weekend or have a great end of the semester. Good luck on finals. Have a good summer. Thanks.
If you didn't sign it yet. please-
All right. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking your time out. Thank you.
You guys want to watch the video.